Good evening. It was and is one of the great tragedies of our time. The tainted blood scandal of the 1980s and 90s saw thousands of Canadians infected with hepatitis C and HIV. Devastating, for many it was deadly. But today, in a case involving just a few of the victims, a judge ruled that she saw no crime, acquitting 4 senior doctors and a U.S. drug company on charges of negligence. The CBC's Laurie Graham was in the courtroom to hear the ruling and outside moments later for the emotional reaction to it.
Roger Perreault tried to leave the courthouse quickly, but the former Red Cross director still faced questions as he left. Can you tell me how you're feeling just generally?
I'm feeling well.
And no doubt relieved. Perreault and 2 former senior Health Canada bureaucrats, Dr. Wart Boucher and Dr. John Ferez, were accused of criminal negligence for allowing a handful of hemophilia patients to receive an infected blood product known as Factor VIII in the mid to late 80s. The 3 doctors, along with an executive from the company that made the product, were each facing up to 10 years in prison. But today, Justice Mary Lou Bonato said they did nothing wrong. In a 65-page decision, she went further, describing their behavior as cautious, careful. She said they acted reasonably, a ruling that left other blood victims shocked.
What's been suggested here today is that the behavior of the gentleman involved and the company involved should somehow be lauded, that they were doing a wonderful job.
In the 1980s, 20,000 people contracted hepatitis C after receiving contaminated blood. Only a few were covered by this case, but many who weren't followed it closely. Michelle Scarpino's husband is so sick with hep C, he couldn't make it here today.
Hepatitis C is a horrible disease, and it takes your life away, and you don't struggle, you just exist.
More than 1,000 Canadians became infected with HIV. About 800 developed AIDS and died. Kartik Shah was only 24.
I'm mother without son. My lovely son. I have lost my son.
Janet Connors watched with disbelief from Halifax. She saw her husband Randy die after he contracted HIV from tainted blood. She became infected herself and has waited years to see someone held accountable.
It was almost like my brain couldn't process it. I was so certain that there would be a verdict of guilty.
Even after today's ruling, the courts aren't finished with the tainted blood scandal. Roger Perreault, the former director of the Canadian Red Cross, still faces a second trial on broader charges related to the screening and testing of blood in Canada. Laurie Graham, CBC News, Toronto.